At one point in time, around 3 billion years ago, we were floating around as little tiny atoms in the little Petri dish of the world. These atoms did not yet know life. They collided, bonded, and separated under the influence of energy from the sun and the heat of the early Earth. In the oceans, complex molecules began to form from simple compounds like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Over time, these molecules assembled into self-replicating structures. Some could copy themselves more efficiently than others. Those that could survive longer, replicate faster, and resist destruction continued on. This process is known as natural selection, the fundamental mechanism that drives evolution. Fast forward to around 6 million years ago, and we see the emergence of the first hominids, the family of primates that include humans. These early hominins diverged from a common ancestor shared with modern chimpanzees. Fossil evidence suggests this split occurred as Africa's climate shifted, replacing dense forests with more open savannas. Standing upright became an advantage. Bipedalism freed the hands for carrying food, tools, and infants, while also allowing early hominins to travel long distances efficiently and regulate body temperature under the hot African sun. 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus was the first species to leave Africa and colonize other parts of the world. They had larger brains than their primate ancestors, averaging nearly twice the size of earlier hominins. Their skeletal structure shows longer legs, shorter arms, and a body proportion much closer to modern humans. Homo erectus also mastered one of the most important technologies in human history, fire. Controlled use of fire allowed early humans to cook food, which increased caloric intake, reduced disease, and may have contributed directly to brain growth. Fire also provided warmth, protection from predators, and extended waking hours after sunset. Around 400,000 years ago, the first evidence of the Neanderthals appears. Their bodies were adapted to the cold environments of Europe and Western Asia, with shorter limbs, stockier builds, and large nasal cavities that helped warm cold air. Their distinctive facial features were some of the most human-like ever seen. Neanderthals were not primitive brutes. Archaeological evidence shows they buried their dead, cared for injured group members, created symbolic objects, and used sophisticated stone tools. Genetic studies reveal that modern humans outside Africa still carry Neanderthal DNA, proving that interbreeding occurred when our species met. Then came us, Homo sapiens, the only surviving species of the Homo genus. Our success did not come from superior strength, but from cognitive flexibility. We developed complex language, allowing knowledge to be shared across generations. We imagined things that did not physically exist, myths, social rules, gods, and nations, and then collectively believed in them. This ability to cooperate in large groups of unrelated individuals became our greatest evolutionary advantage. But how did Homo sapiens rise into global dominance through the mechanism of civilization? Dramatic music, we begin our story in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia in 400 BCE, nestled between the Great Tigris and Euphrates rivers and the Sumerian city of Uruk. These rivers flooded predictably, depositing nutrient-rich silt onto the land. This natural process replenished soil fertility year after year, making large-scale agriculture possible. Humans began domesticating plants through selective breeding, choosing seeds from crops that grew larger, ripened faster, or resisted disease. Instead of relying on hunting and gathering like our ancestors of the past, the citizens of Uruk were able to harvest cereal grains like wheat and barley. This shift is known as the Neolithic Revolution, and it fundamentally changed human biology, society, and the environment. However, turning cereal grains into edible foods took a lot of work. In the beginning, they had to use an invention called a hand mill, which consisted of 2 stones. As the grains were crushed between the 2 stones, the flour was collected in a container and stored for future use. This was the start of food surplus. Surplus allowed population growth, division of labor, and specialization. Not everyone needed to farm anymore. Some people could become builders, scribes, priests, or soldiers. This complex, strenuous process was our modern world's first example of agriculture. We no longer depended on hunting animals or picking berries for our food. Instead, humans reshaped ecosystems to suit their needs. But agriculture came at a biological cost. Skeletal evidence shows early farmers suffered from malnutrition, dental disease, and repetitive stress injuries. Their diets became less diverse, relying heavily on a few staple crops. This allowed Uruk to prosper into a place with over 50,000 residents, making it one of the first true cities in human history. Urban living increased disease transmission, as people lived closer together and domesticated animals shared the same spaces. However, this change did have a change on the human body. The average height of men drastically shrunk from 5'9" to 5'3", and for women, they shrunk on average from 5'3" to 5 feet. Instead of being the super athletes we were of the past, we were smaller, less noticeable farmers. People also became landlocked, tied to property, territory, and social hierarchy, changing the very essence of what it means to be human. In the early 3000 BCE, according to legend, King Gilgamesh began his rule as a Sumerian king of his region. Though Gilgamesh may be semi-mythical, the Epic of Gilgamesh is the earliest surviving literary work, revealing humanity's earliest recorded fear of death and obsession with immortality.